Here's yet another Orion cook video. I cooked 2 Boston butts and 3 racks of ribs all at the same time. So quite a few pounds of meat, and I graphed out the results, pulled the ribs off, finished them on the grill, and then did pulled pork. Worked out just fantastic. So I had done the dry rub the night before and started getting out my Orion gear and getting out my temperature probe that I usually use to sort of keep track of it, just for geek factor. So unwrapping this one I had wrapped in wax paper, which turned out to be pretty good, as a matter of fact. I did the other one in plastic wrap. They loaded 1 Boston butt into the bottom, and then the second levels contain the other meat. Now I wanted to say that this probe actually ended up getting failing during this cook, and if you pay attention, you'll probably see why. Because probably some juice dripped out of the meat and onto the wire. You can see in this next shot, I think that see how the wire is sort of crossing over there? I think some juice dripped down right into the wire, and so messed it up. So I think you should aim that down. So anyway, I sort of coiled up the ribs and stuck them in the second level there. Most of the ribs. I had one more thing of ribs, and I got another probe and stuck it into found a good spot, thick spot between 2 ribs, and got a good measuring point there, I think. And then on the top layer, I put the last Boston butt and a little bit chunk of ribs that I didn't fit into the other area there. So we're all loaded up, and got to close it up, and that temperature probe that I added to the Orion there, that's the dial. It has a thing that sticks on the inside about 3 inches, and so I wanted to see if I could get that to where it wasn't touching any meat, if I could help it. And then I loaded up the top with some charcoal and some lighter fluid, and then I lit the bottom. Now this is, I should have said at the very beginning, this is a propane modified Orion. So I do have a video out there that talks about what I did to make that propane modification, also on this YouTube channel. So anyway, I lit up the top and fired up the bottom, and then I started the timer and set it for 4 hours and 1 minute. Just the 1 minute was sort of a mistake, but I'm just sitting, the target was for the meat temperature was 203, just sort of what I thought I could get to in the Orion with the Boston butt within 4 hours. So got the propane on, and I got it at the beginning. I like to turn the propane up real high so I can get some smoke out of the meat, smoke out of the chips, the wood chips. So I set this up so I could aim my video camera at it. So got the thing in the shade there a little bit, and where the dial is sort of showing there. So right now it's at 200. If you look at the dial, it's going between 200 and now it's up to 250. So that's right there, 250. That's sort of my target, and I've got it going down to 225 sometimes, and then we'll see later on we have a little problem with the gas staying lit. But anyway, that's showing the ribs temperature and the shoulder temperature. And so the shoulders, only climbing to 95 degrees or so, and the Orion's sitting there at 250. And then what I'm looking at here is adding coal. So I put some coals in the top, and we're looking at the rib temperature, and the rib temperature is already up to the target, and the Orion temperature is at 250. So I cut back on the propane to get it down to about a 125 target. But then the thing started to blow out on me. So I had to get something to block the wind to keep the low flame from blowing out. And so we can see the ribs are staying hot, and the shoulders See, there's the here the probe failed. It was at like 180 and then went down to 130 and then went up to 300. And so probe was all over the place. So from now on, we'll just look at the rib temperature. And we did have a problem with where the flame was going out. So we had a few places where you could see the dial on the left side sort of dip down into the 200 range or even below. But for the most part, we're pretty much done with the cook, and the ribs have remained for over 2 hours above or around 200 degrees. So I'm sure they're good and tender. And the Boston butt probably had maybe an hour above the 200 range. So here we're cooling down. I just turned it off, and we're just letting the ribs cool for a while. And at the half-hour mark, we'll pull the top off. Half hour of resting, and I'm going to take these ribs off and stick them on the grill. So we get the ribs off, and that one Boston butt is the one we're going to save, that one, and the one on the bottom is the one we ended up eating. But anyway, here's the ribs that curled up. I did tie a string around there, as you probably noticed. So pulling these out, typical Orion Cook, when you try to move them, they fall apart, which is good. Yeah, these now, I wouldn't have cooked these quite as long if it wasn't for the fact that I had these Boston butts that take longer to cook. Normally ribs will go for about 3 hours, and the Boston butt more like 4, and maybe even a little longer with 4 than 4. But yeah, we're having a fall apart kind of problem, but that's a good problem to have, right? So get these ribs out of here and get them on the grill and get some sauce to caramelize on them. They turn out really nice. All
right,
so here they are on the grill. I just took a quick shot of them. This was probably right before I pulled them off. I probably already had them. There's no smoke there, so I think it's sort of a later shot. And then here's the sort of the results. The bone came out dry out of the Boston butt, so that looks good. And it pulled apart pretty easily. So even though I didn't have a probe in it, I was pretty sure it got up to temperature or almost up to temperature. So there you have it. Whole bunch of meat, Orion Cooker, and tie them up. I didn't use the rib hangers, and light up the propane and light up the top, and then you can get yourself some very tender, luscious meat. Hope you enjoyed it.